this weekend. Hare Krishna. Whole weekend we're remembering Bhaktivinoda Thakur and how he gave the form to Lord Chaitanya's movement. And one of the aspects of his formulating Krishna consciousness for the world was in giving very clear instructions about how to chant the holy names of the Lord effectively. Of course, the holy name is always effective, but it's our approach that makes all the difference in the world. That's why we have this Japa circle, to remember that it's a serious practice and to encourage one another. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote a book called Harinam Chintamani, and I'm going to read a couple of excerpts from it just to give a taste of his teachings about the holy name. Here it's framed in the conversation between Haridas Thakur and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Haridas Thakur was the Nam Acharya, that he set the example for chanting the holy names. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was questioning him about the process, and Haridas Thakur was answering. Just as there are different types of names with different effects, so there are different ways of chanting the name with different effects. The scriptures, of course, declare that if one chants the name of Krishna once, or hears the name of Krishna once, whether it be the pure name or the impure name, the jiva is still delivered from the clutches of the material energy. However, the types of deliverance and the speed of deliverance must be noted. If the name is chanted in namabhasa, impurely, the benefit will come slowly because the person will eventually attain pure love of God. The abhasa name is considered all auspicious. By the process of namabhas chanting, sins are gradually destroyed until the name is chanted and heard purely. At that stage of pure chanting, the devotee quickly achieves the goal, pure love of Godhead. There's also the case of chanting or hearing the holy name with more impurity than namabhasa, situated at a greater distance from the pure name. The greater the distance is, the less the effect of the name. Such obstruction or distance from the name where chanting gives little or no effect is called aparata, or offense. The obstruction of vyavadana, separation, is the mistaken idea that Krishna's name and Krishna are different or separate. In other words, the belief that the absolute truth does not reside in the name, and that therefore chanting the name cannot bring one to the highest realization of truth, is called vyavadana, or separation. As long as this belief persists, love of God is impossible to attain. He goes on to describe how important it is that we cultivate sambandha, gyan, knowledge of our relationship with Krishna. There is a God and I'm not him. Krishna is non-different from his name and so forth. So when we simultaneously hear the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through the mouth of his pure devotees, and we chant the holy name, then we can give full attention because we're not considering, oh, this is something imaginary, and then I'm not getting a taste, and then I stop chanting and so forth. So today we take shelter of the instructions of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, especially in chanting Hare Krishna, and we can remember him, as Prabhupada mentioned, that whether one is his disciple, his grand disciple, great-grand disciple, still we're taking shelter of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So let's remember him today and take shelter of his teachings in chanting our japa. Gaur Premanande Haribol.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram.
Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara, Shiva Sari Gaur Bhaktivinoda.
Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram Ram Ram
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Ram Ram
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare
Hare,
Ram Hare Krishna
Hare
Hare Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare
Krishna,
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Krishna,
Ram Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare
Hare
Ram
Rama, Hare
Ram
Rama,
Hare
Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna Hare
Krishna
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram Hare Krishna
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna Hare
Krishna
Ram
Krishna, Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram Hare Krishna
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Krishna
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Ram
Rama,
Ram
Hare Hare,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Hare Ram
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Ram
Rama,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram Ram Ram
Hare
Hare
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama
Hare
Rama,
Krishna
Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare
Krishna,
Hare Ram
Krishna
Ram Ram
Krishna,
Hare
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 Hare,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare
Rama,
Ram
Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare, Hare Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Ram
Rama Rama, Hare
Ram
Hare,
Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Ram
Rama
Ram
Rama,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Hare Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Ram
Krishna
Ram Ram
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna
Rama
Krishna
Rama, Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Hare Ram 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 Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare Krishna
Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Hare
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram Hare
Hare
Krishna Hare
Rama, Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Krishna
Rama Rama,
Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram Ram
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Hare
Hare Rama,
Krishna
Rama
Hare
Rama,
Krishna
Hare Hare,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna Krishna
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna Hare
Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare
Ram
Rama, Rama
Ram
Rama,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Ram
Rama
Ram
Rama, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna Hare
Hare
Ram
Krishna, Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Ram
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Hare Ram
Krishna, Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram Ram Hare
Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Hare
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Ram
Hare, Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Krishna
Hare
Ram
Rama, Rama
Ram
Rama,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Ram
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Ram 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 Ram
Krishna
Hare Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Ram
Rama Rama,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Ram Hare
Hare
Krishna
Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna
Rama
Krishna
Rama, Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare Hare, Hare
Ram
Rama, Hare
Ram
Rama,
Ram
Rama
Ram
Rama,
Hare
Hare Hare,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Hare
Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Rama, Hare
Ram
Rama,
Ram
Rama
Ram
Rama,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram Ram Hare
Hare
Krishna
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram Hare Krishna
Hare Rama,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Ram
Rama
Ram
Rama, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Hare Krishna
Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare Rama,
Ram
Rama
Ram
Rama,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna, Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram 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 Hare
Hare Rama,
Krishna
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Hare Ram
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Rama, Rama
Krishna
Rama,
Hare
Hare Hare, Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram Ram
Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare
Krishna Hare
Rama,
Krishna
Rama
Krishna
Rama,
Krishna
Hare Hare,
Hare Ram Ram Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram Ram
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Rama, Rama
Hare
Rama, Hare Hare,
Krishna
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Krishna Ram
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Rama, Rama
Krishna
Rama, Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna,
Ram
Hare Hare,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna
Rama
Hare
Rama, Hare Hare,
Krishna Ram Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, 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 Hare Rama, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, 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 Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna. Here's another infusion of Sambandha Gyan coming from Haridas Thakur through the pen of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. However, when the jiva forgets that he is the eternal servant of Krishna, he comes into the material world looking for happiness. But this universe of illusion is a prison house for the jivas, acting as the remedial or reformatory process by punishing the jivas for turning away from Krishna. The material world is meant as a place of purification. By the mercy of the pure Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, if the jiva takes up Krishna's name with correct knowledge of Sambandha, he will certainly attain the great treasure of prema, the perfect activity of the living entity. At that time, even liberation or merging into the Lord's effulgence becomes detestable. But as long as the transcendental knowledge of Sambandha is not accepted, the anarthas and ignorance must remain, and the person will continue on the platform of namabhasa. Though the person chants, the effect is limited. However, even chanting in the namabhasa stage is considered to be very auspicious. It is considered the chief of pious activities, for by the accumulation of namabhasa activity, one eventually gains faith to accept devotional service properly. Namabhasa is considered higher than the activities of yoga, sacrifice, varnashrama, austerities, etc., because it will lead to the path of pure bhakti. The processes of yoga, austerities, etc., will never lead to bhakti unless mixed with some activities of bhakti. So this assembly today would be very much appreciated by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that he wanted that masses of people would have a process through which they could take advantage of the succinct teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and become reformed from the effects of the three modes of material nature. And then that those people would also pass it on to others, and that way it would fulfill the desire of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to see it spread all over the world. Check on the time. What is the schedule? Yeah? Okay, sounds good. Just like a couple of reflections from the session this morning so far.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
It's difficult to realize that Krishna is present fully in his holy names. But as you were reading about the Sambandha Gyan and in a prayerful mood, I think it helps to see Krishna as a person and connect to him personally through his holy name with Sambandha Gyan and prayers. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you for reminding us of Krishna. Always. Yes.
I was just reading some quotes while chanting yesterday, Prabhu, like how it said in Skanda Puran that even if one performs heinous acts, the chanting of the holy names would purify him. Not only that, it will situate him amongst the sages. So I was just thinking how it's exactly what happens in the material world. Like if we screw up one credit card, then we are screwed up for life. But the holy name is so merciful. It's giving us chance again and again. So that was very encouraging.
Jai. Even if you have bad credit, you can clear it very quickly. Two more, one from here, one from there. The reflections. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Prabhuji, Maharaj, you just now mentioned about till we start chanting in realization of the Sambandha Jnana, we will be in the Namahabhasa stage. So, Sambandha Jnana here, does it mean consider ourselves to be the eternal servant of Lord Krishna and chanting in that mode, or is it to know our eternal position in Goloka, to know at that stage when we know the real seva which we do for the Lord? Does it mean that?
Well, the two are actually overlapping. Because wherever we are, whether it's Goloka or here, we're still eternal servants of the Lord. So in the beginning stages, we understand by hearing Sambandha Gyan that we're not Krishna, that we're actually his servants. Then that's a beginning position to chant from. The antithesis of that is mentioned by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, by Haridas Thakur in the Harinam Chintamani. That idea which contaminates the chanting is Mayavad, which is that I am God. I'm just chanting. I'm in a temporarily inconvenienced by being in the material world, but I'll realize my godship again by chanting and I'll merge. Sorry, everybody. But this is the antithesis of the Sambandha Gyan, which means a relationship. I have a relationship. How can you have a relationship if you're one and the same? So it starts with understanding that I'm an eternal servant. I'm not the master. And later on, one's relationship with Krishna will be realized by the mercy of the holy name. We can't artificially know our relationship with Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan. There are some people who have a premature way of offering this to others and saying that this is your relationship, now meditate on it. But in our line, we first meditate on the holy name and the fact that we're eternal servants, and the holy name reveals to us gradually what our relationship is. And that comes to be known to us by Krishna's arrangement. This you can substantiate by reading the last song in the Sharanagati by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in which he describes how the holy name comes to him and takes him by the hand and introduces him to Krishna and his relationship with Krishna in the spiritual world. Of course, Bhaktivinoda Thakur already knows his relationship with Krishna in the spiritual world. He's a Manjari named Kamala. But he's showing us through his teachings that this is the process through which one comes to understand precisely what relationship we have in Goloka. Does that help?
Yes, Prabhu.
Oh, good. Unamas or ache. Sharing means caring. One more? Yes. Hare Krishna. May we borrow a microphone?
Good morning. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Vaish. Thank you, Sundar. I just want to say thank you. I appreciate this morning gathering. It's my first time here. That is fantastic. And I feel the words that you said, they work. A couple of months ago, I was chanting several mantras, and now I'm already surrounded by sages, so it's perfect. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. That's a helpful addition to the conversation, because when we do take the chanting seriously, then Krishna surrounds us with good association, as Vlad Prabhu was pointing out, and that there's a way in which everything else becomes manifest by the power of the holy name. So we don't have to worry about that. Krishna says in the Gita, Ananyas chintayantomam ye jana pariupasate, tesham nityabdyuktanam yogakshemam bahamyaham. Feel free to absorb your full mind and consciousness in me. Don't think you're going to lose anything. If you absorb yourself in me, you'll find that I'll carry whatever you lack and I preserve what you have. That's not just materially, but it means all spiritual necessities will come if you just fully concentrate on Krishna. That's what he asks us to do. Man mana bhava mad bhakto. Just think of me, become my devotee. Everything will be fine. Hare Krishna. Thank you. We just have a few more minutes. So let's chant for a couple minutes and then we'll get ready to greet the deities. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Vanchakalpatarusha Kripasindhaveva Patitanam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavi.